What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I did want to go over what I would say is probably the hottest topic in this game. That is going to come down to the crew issues that you can basically not join your friends. Now, funnily enough, I was trying to do some testing with this with a friend of mine, and it does turn out even to this day it's still going to be broken. Now, I do have to admit in some ways they probably should focus on this more than anything else. Like, I do know everybody probably wants new cars and like new events. We can probably agree by now that being able to go into a crew and also join a friend probably should be like the #1 priority right now in this game. Like, it is probably going to be a huge selling point of the crew to be able to be in a crew. I would say it's, the name of this game. I also do want to mention though, back in the Crew 1 and the Crew 2 had the exact same issues for a while. I also remember the Crew 2 having this for a long time in there. Funnily enough, back in the Crew 1, I remember the game basically crashing every 20 minutes, and you can also really never see your friends when you spawn in the game with them. So we're also going to be seeing these same issues in this game right now, but I have to admit we are most likely going to be seeing issues hopefully soon with this. And I would say it's most likely going to be the #1 thing that's making everybody angry. Like, I do know we probably need new cars, which there's, over 600 of them. But I do know players are probably looking for, like, more events and more things to do, or, like, new updates coming out with different stuff to, like, grind for. But let's be honest, though, not being able to join a friend or something like that, even with a new update coming out, is not really going to be the most enjoyable experience. Now, I do want to go over some of the issues I was having the past few days trying out the crew management. The first thing I did notice is yes, you can invite people to your crew. The biggest issue is though is can you actually see them? I noticed the only way for me to at least see my friend was to do grand races, which by the way is going to be fun in its own way, but the entire PvP system probably does need to be changed to match like the crews and all that. I will most likely make another video besides the other PvP one I did before. But the other thing I did notice though is yes, you are going to be able to join a crew member. I did notice some of the playlist challenges are going to work at the same time of doing it. But of course, at that exact same time of doing some of the challenges, some of the other ones are also not going to work either, which I would say is probably going to basically annoy anyone. At the same time, if you were to join your friend, I did notice I can't even find a session of anybody in like the game itself. So after that, I was like, you know what, let's try what we used to do back in the Crew 2 and the Crew 1 with basically like turning your game off. Or of course, like closing the application. I guess tomato, tomato, kind of the same thing. But he then closed the game out and I instantly joined a session with people. So I was like, you know what, dude, jump back on, then I will close my game out. And then the exact same thing ended up happening again to him after I ended up leaving. He basically started joining a session with people the second I closed my game out. We also had a time where basically one of us was in a session, the other one wasn't. And of course, we were not even showing up on the map at all that we were indeed in a crew. So you would basically go into like the menu and it would say crew management. You were then going to be in a crew, but you weren't. Kind of a pretty bad thing, honestly, to be able to see that. Like, yeah, you're going to be in a crew with somebody, but you can't even see them. So if you are looking to drive around with like your friend or something, you're most likely going to get pretty frustrated. Now, one thing I do want to mention, by the way, and do let me know in the comments below if you guys have also had the same exact issue as this. So before all of these problems, we did end up joining each other to do one of the grand races. After we did maybe like 5 or 6 races, we then spawned back into like the game itself. We did ended up actually being able to see each other and drive around for a bit. And then of course I was like, you know what, dude, let's go try to do an event and do one of the playlist challenges. It does turn out it indeed actually broke the entire thing, so we did ended up trying to join like one of the events together. I did notice right after that we basically got like an infinite loading screen with like the M on the bottom. And then on the flip side of that, we were like, you know what, let's maybe give it a second. It might end up working, like, back in the PS2 days where you would basically look away from that screen and hope sometimes that the game would obviously load. For this though, we did end up waiting around 30 to 40 seconds for it. For some odd reason, it then said you could not join the crew, then basically put us in there by yourselves. It also gave us a random vehicle every time, which was odd, but after that, we then ended up leaving that event. And now after that one, though, we cannot see each other at all when basically driving around whatsoever in free drive, so I really do hope most of these things are going to be fixed in the near future. But of course, the biggest question is, When is that actually going to come out and basically fix all of the main crew issues right now? I also do want to know, by the way, let me know what you guys are experiencing with this. Like, if your friends might end up being invisible, or even if you might end up crashing every time you join a crew. I would like to know what you guys are experiencing in the comments below. So hopefully a patch is going to come out soon, basically fixing most of these issues. I also want to mention, by the way, if you do want to hear about some of my main PvP design changes, which I would say a lot of players are most likely having lots of ideas, that way they can improve like the PvP game modes, and at least add more of them for that matter. This video can also be found on your screen right now.